Banking sector was prepared and also decided to run on a scale down operations that fit this new normal requirements. We have also taken various initiatives to encourage customers to come on digital platforms. That I'm very happy to see the progress made in the country since of recently in regard to promoting this capital market. Because equity is a very, very important part in any organization. Being listed, we are really happy that various internal governance structures have been improved. The foreign investments are definitely a plus point in every angle. We believe that we work towards providing optimum value to all our stakeholders. In that respect, shareholders is also definitely there.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Stock Pulse, where we engage with the leadership of leading listed companies with a view of educating and providing the exposure for our investors to learn about the leading listed companies that are on the Colombo Stock Exchange. It also provides a platform for these listed companies to reach out to their shareholders both internationally and locally. So today we have Mr. Renganathan, who is the Managing Director of one of our top listed companies, one of the leading listed companies, and also happens to be the leader of one of the leading commercial banks in the country. I'd like to start with the COVID pandemic that is very much on our minds right now as we speak. Just to set the background to the discussion, we know that banks have particularly undergone some very challenging times given the recent lockdowns and particularly the travel restrictions that have been imposed. But yet you need to keep operating, particularly talking about your branch network, etc., where a lot of Sri Lankans, particularly given your extensive branch network and the reach that you have, would have caused some challenges to the bank. Can you share with us the environment currently compared to, say, the lockdowns previously, and what are the challenges that you're currently facing?
Thanks, Ajay. The third wave of the pandemic, which came up recently, was something that we were all anticipating because going by what's happening in the global world. So we were, to some extent, aware that we may have to face the third wave, going through the first two waves experience. Perhaps nobody anticipated the extent to which that we will get affected. But I must say the banking sector was prepared and also decided to run on a scale down operations that fit this new normal requirements. Digital platforms were stepped up to meet the customer demands, as well as staff working environment also was changed during this period, the first two waves period. The infrastructure was changed. You would have seen now the banks which didn't have any separation between the customer and the bank staff. We have all now come up with temporary or certain amount of separation. So infrastructure was changed, some of the split teams are working, and various other arrangements in regard to managing this pandemic and providing safeguard to the customers and the staff were all in place. So we were fairly ready, as I said, and we managed it to a certain extent carefully, and we are still managing it, I must say. We still don't know when we will come out of this particular third wave. So we hope the various initiatives taken by the government and the other authorities will bring out us from this third wave and start getting back to the somewhat of a new normal life. So in short, if I may to say, to answer to you, the banking sector, having gone through the experience in the last two waves, are well prepared and are doing well to ensure that the financial transactions are enabled to be done in a smooth way. So that's how I would say.
No doubt. I think banks like Commercial Bank have measured up very well. Particularly, if can mention this, Commercial Bank is one of our settlement banks, and we have done settlements uninterrupted, on time, despite whatever challenges that have come our way. And I think also we have seen the retail banking sector being serviced quite efficiently, even though there are these challenges and the travel restrictions that are in place. Do you think that in terms of the mechanisms and the tools that the banking sector is using, do you think that the digitalization of the banking sector is moving forward, it's working, and are more people adopting to internet-based transactions as against the physical visits to the branch? Are you seeing kind of a shift happening?
We are really encouraged to see the change or the upsize in the usage of these digital platforms. Now, those days, the customers who said, we don't use this, computers, etc., now in a much better, arrangements to make use of these online platforms, etc. So we have seen a dramatic increase in the usage, and we are happy in regard to the patronization of the digital platforms. But still, I would say a lot more to be done, a lot more efforts to be made by the banks and the customers as well. So we have also taken various initiatives to encourage customers to come on digital platforms and use the automated banking platforms that we have set up. Various initiatives have been taken, and just to give some examples of that, not only the online mobile banking and the automated banking machines that we have, but we have also thought we need to encourage cashless payments as much as possible. So you are aware that Lanka Clear and the banks got together, came up with a separate, QR code scanning payment system, so that you don't have to, give a card or something and, get the transaction completed. Then we have various other ways in which to enable that. We have also thought, okay, we'll have some POS machines, point of sale machines, etc. So we have increased the point of sale machines substantially. We are enabling QR code payments. So that way, we are trying our best to ensure that our retail customer need not step into a bank branch counters to get their services. Now, if you ask me, one of the example I could say is, say, check deposits. Now, everyone knows cash deposits, cash withdrawals are ATMs and cash recycle machines are there in the banking sector today. But check deposit, you have to go into the counter, they say. So we say, no, we have a separate mobile app where you can scan this check and send it to us. Plus, of course, due to certain internal regulatory requirements, that the check has to be deposited to the bank box that is kept outside the bank. So gradually, I don't say not only our bank, even other banks are also coming up to ensure that the customer is given 24/7 service without any interruptions, going through this major challenge that we are all faced with.
Good to hear that, Mr. Rangana, and very encouraging too from the view of bank stakeholders and customers alike. If we just digress to the government granting the moratorium and certain relaxations to loan payments, do you think this is going to be a more medium-term measure, and do you see this affecting the development of the banking industry over the longer term?
Personally, I don't say that this will affect the banking sector, because what we are doing is because we have lent to a customer to engage in some business activity and to generate cash flows and to repay us. So in that process of generating cash flow, if that customer is going through some external challenges, it is the bankers, the lenders' duty to go through that and ensure that he manages that time period of challenge in such a way to come out of that and generate income sufficient enough to repay that borrowings. Now, where the problem comes in here is, my personal view is, where the borrower is, some sort of a I will not call them as willful defaulters. Maybe someone who doesn't take it very seriously that they should really generate money is sufficient enough to repay the commitments that they have agreed. Now, so if you take majority of them, our country's non-performing ratio is about 5%. I always tell my team that looking at this, 95% of the people are paying their commitments. So it's just a few percentage may have got into some difficulties. So this 95% also now being challenged because of this global pandemic. So what we should do? How can we insist that they should pay us in spite of these external challenges? So we have to help them. We have to give them some sort of a breathing time period. So that is where the regulator also has come up with this moratorium. So moratoriums are, time to time reviewed by the regulator. So that focus is there. So they are not really pushing us to give blindly the moratorium. They are just wanting the banks to, on certain basis, consider moratorium, understanding the operating environment. So I think it's a positive thing. What we need to do with this is what I have told my team. We have to understand the exact position of the customer. The borrower's position A to B is totally different. So pandemic is common to everyone, but your cash flows will get affected up to X amount, whereas another person's cash flow may get affected by Y amount. So we got to understand. One may need maybe 6 months time to start repaying it. One may need even maybe 2 years time to start repayment. So we have to look at that conditions, exactly understand where the borrower is and try to help them. So in that way, these moratoriums are not going to hurt the banks, but maybe it will delay the cash, recoveries, etc. So that's what my feeling.
Let's turn to capital markets now. Of course, Commercial Bank is, I think, one of the top and the largest listed companies in terms of market cap. It is also a preferred stock among a lot of foreign investors. And with all the accolades, Best Bank in Sri Lanka 2021, the Sri Lanka's first carbon neutral bank, I think, Best Private Bank, Asia Money awards, etc., with a whole heap of accolades behind you. With regard to the use of the capital market, can you share a little bit of your experience as a listed company? And what do you think the role of public markets are in helping companies, banks to accelerate growth in their companies?
Before I answer that question, you mentioned about the accolades that was won by the bank. So I must place on record at this stage my grateful appreciation to my team, the Combank team. And the loyal customers and the shareholders are the ones who are given the strength for us to work on that basis and achieve all these things. Having said that, let me come back to that. I'm very happy to see the progress made in the country since recently in regard to promoting this capital market. Because equity is a very, very important part in any organization. And we being banks also, we require that equity, a strong, loyal, long-term equity support from the shareholders. So the way that we expect the customers to help us to grow, we also need the shareholders to help us to grow. Because shareholders have confidence and given. We need long-term shareholders. And we also need to ensure that the shareholder gets better value as well. So in that respect, I'm really happy to see that certain initiatives taken by the stock exchange, the government, all have made a lot of efforts to take this stock market or the equity activities into high levels. So what value that we get out of this, engaging in this equity market and bringing in foreign investors, if you may ask me, definitely there is a lot of value. Being listed, we are really happy that various internal governance structures have been improved. Improving the governance structure means definitely it's going to improve our performance levels. And it gives us more strength, more ability for us to reach out to the high level of performance. So, advisory services provided by CSE and all other relevant regulatory bodies, and also timely instructions given by all that helps us to work towards the performance enhancement that we are all working towards. So we are really happy with the initiatives taken, and being a listed company, we have got a lot of value. I must say that.
Thank you. I think Mr. Ranganathan, you made a very good point as regards good governance, and that the fact that when you do follow good governance, that it ultimately results in better performance. And I think that's a good cue for a lot of potential listed companies. Some of the companies, in fact, are looking to list, are really looking to list because they are, I think, going on the same basis that it's going to add to their performance, the fact that you're better governed and there's more accountability as a listed company. So thank you for that very good insight that you gave us. As you know, the stock exchange also provides access to investors globally. Can you share some thoughts, some experience on how foreign investors really can add value to the company, how it has added value to Commercial Bank, for example?
Yeah, as you all know, we are a small island, right? We have varies of resources among us, but at the same time, for us to grow and also to take this country to a different level, we need global support. So therefore, when it comes to equity market also, we need investments to flow into our equity market and to the companies to have foreign investments. This is the way that the CommBank thought nearly about 2 decades ago onwards, and we have been working towards attracting foreign investments. Now, the foreign investments are definitely a plus point in every angle. It enhances the capacity to grow as well as it enhances the brand value and also strength to, face up to different type of challenges, and improves the knowledge and various internal ability as well. So that is why we have been focusing on, as I said, and the last 10 years for MedTech, we are a bank which had nearly about 33% of our shareholding was in the hands of the foreign investors. Yeah. Of course, due to various reasons, I will not go into the details, but due to various reasons, this percentage of the foreign shareholding gradually came down. But we did everything possible to, we communicate to our foreign investors and the local investors in regard to the company's operations and ensure that a transparent process is there to communicate regularly to them and indicate the activities of the company or the bank. In that process, even though the 33% gradually came down to, as I said, due to various reasons, in the year 2020 first quarter, unfortunately it came down to about 18%. So, a bank which had about 30% coming down to 18%, it's not the fault of any of us, but it is due to various factors, not only the country factor, it's the external factors. So we took a lot of action, and you all are aware that last year, with all this pandemic globally affecting everyone, we managed as a bank to get a private placement for the first time in the history of the bank, which is having about 100 years story, but at least 50 years as a Sri Lankan incorporated bank. So we have managed to secure about $50 billion capital infusion last year. So similarly, we are very keen to have these foreign investors in our shareholder portfolio, which we feel adds a lot of value to us. And our shareholders are also fairly long-term or mid to long-term shareholders. These are not very short-term shareholders. So we are happy to have them, and we will ensure that their confidence is continued to be there with us by performing in the right way and in the best way amidst all these challenges.
Yeah, I think again another good point that you made. Despite the sell-off of foreign, and that is not limited to Sri Lanka, as you know, they fund managers sold out of Asia for the last couple of years. But given that, we still see that foreigners have, as in the case in your bank, where there was a private placement, where they saw value, they have, notwithstanding any other sell-offs that have happened, they have continued to come in and invest in companies where they think they see value. So I think that's an endorsement, not only to the Commercial Bank, I think to the stock exchange as well as to the country, that they have faith and confidence in corporates that are operating in Sri Lanka. I must
Sorry
ask.
to interrupt you, Rajiva. Just
Yes.
I want to mention something on that point. You touched it very correctly, because in spite of the global pandemic issues, etc., the investment that came last year really gave that the confidence that they have in the country as well. And I would like to share at this point, they also paid a price which was a premium to the 30 days market average price. In spite of all these things, in spite of all these challenges, that shows they have not only the confidence in the organization, the bank, commercial bank, but also in the country, that the country will come back to better position. So that's a great achievement to all of us. Thanks. Sorry.
Of course. Yes, the potential of the country, I think, is being reiterated, and the recent virtual investor conference that Commercial Bank also participated in, we saw this being continuously there in the 3-day conference, that the fact that they did see potential in Sri Lanka as a country. One last question, Mr. Ranganathan, I must ask you about shareholder value, and what your thoughts are in how Commercial Bank is driving shareholder value, and what your message would be to your shareholders.
Yes. First of all, I'm really grateful to our shareholders for being a true long-term partner in our success story. Commercial Bank, being a Sri Lankan known bank in a small scale, we started 100 years ago. Now we have grown into a bank with 3 overseas operations. We are present in Bangladesh, we have the highest rating there, and we are present in Maldives and also in Myanmar as a microfinance arm. So all these overseas operations we are able to do, I must place on record today, not only the efforts of our great team at the Commercial Bank, in addition to the team at the Commercial Bank, I must place on record, it is the shareholders. I don't want to go into the names of those shareholders. Every shareholder, I would say, has contributed to the success of the bank. That is how we managed to go into these overseas destination and successfully establish our operations, and also bring in the additional contribution to the bottom line to ensure that the shareholder gets the value. We have continuously had focus in regard to our shareholders. We believe that we work towards providing optimum value to all our stakeholders. In that respect, shareholders is also definitely there, and we are really thankful to them. And we really get not only just the financial support from the shareholders, but we are really happy to say that we have got much more than the financial value from our shareholders, and we are committed to ensure that we deliver optimum value to our shareholders, and we will ensure that they'll be more happy to be with us for a long period of time.
Thank you, Mr. Ranganathan. I think that's a good note to close on, and we would like to thank you for joining us on Stock Pulse.